Well, hello! Another new arrival today, and it's not a Christmas themed drone like a couple I've done, but perhaps something that's you might think of for Christmas. One of these little folding selfie drones. Now this came from the guys at RCMoment.com, and respect to those guys because they sent me a couple of products in the past. They got pretty bad reviews from me, and one of them flew away. And they've kept going because at least they don't mind an honest review, so that's good stuff. So what you've got in here, as it shows, is, well, you just get this one little thing in a box pretty much, apart from a charge cable, which is this. It's a little folding, and the idea is that it's a selfie drone, or they say selfie drone. These things are often a little bit tricky to fly to get yourself in the picture. But it's completely foldable, so the idea is you put it in your pocket and you can take it out anywhere and you fly it with your phone. So what you got here is foldable arms. These just come out. Like that, and you're ready to go. Camera here. You've got the LiPo in here, which you obviously need to charge, which I haven't done yet. And the whole thing is controlled via your phone app. Phone flying, I feel, is sometimes a little bit tricky. Well, let's try it and see. I mean, the idea is we should be able to take this out and get like a quick picture or video of something interesting. Hopefully this will do the job. Yeah, let's try it. Let's get in there and see what happens. I've tried to make this video while I've been out flying, but I can't get a decent picture of my phone screen, and iOS doesn't have a screen recorder, so I just want to talk about what we have here. Normal app you get, it's very similar. You connect to the Wi-Fi point on the quad itself. We're not actually connected at the moment, but I just wanted to show you how this thing worked. This is its default mode, and it's got the gravity sensor on, which is this thing, and in this it's like green means not on and white means it is. Using this, you'd use this auto takeoff button here, and then your stick would drop back to center, because basically you'd be going up and it should hold height, down it would hold height. Interestingly, if you actually turn that off and the stick goes back like that, you can't launch it like that. You have to launch it with this on, and then you can cancel it and use it as a normal throttle stick. It's not something I necessarily recommend. So what I was trying to talk about in the videos is the recommended settings I have is I'd put this to 100%. This is the rates. This is the gravity sensor. This one, if you press that to on, means this whole phone turned into an accelerometer, so you can just pilot like this, and this goes hand in hand with the headless mode, which makes this annoying beep. But now it's headless, it doesn't matter which way it's facing, so you can still of course use the yaw to turn it around to face or whatever, but then you can just back and forth no matter what, and that's a really easy way of doing it. And then what you've got here is you've got photos, video, look at the footage you've taken, and that will about do you. So here's what happened when I actually flew it, and here's some of the video and photos I took whilst I was flying it.
So here's a quick clip of it indoors, and I'm just sort of showing how I can fly it with the accelerometer. I wouldn't suggest it's necessarily a great indoor quad because it's got exposed props, but it's actually quite easy to control, and because it holds its height, it gives you one less thing to think about. So here we go outside, just hitting the auto launch button and you're off and running pretty much. Now all this footage I've got, this is my wife filming, and I've got the head cam here when I took it at a different time. It's kind of a bit dull because we can't fly a great distance away, because as any of you guys that use phones to control know, I think you've got a top control range of maybe 30 meters and maybe the same for the Wi-Fi range. So it's not fantastic that way, but this isn't the sort of thing it's designed for. It's designed to sort of, you know, have a bit of a laugh, fly around, have a look at what's going on the screen, maybe take a picture or two. What I can tell you about it is that using the method I was to fly, which is using the gravity center so it holds height, using headless mode, and using the accelerometer control on the phone, it's a real doddle to fly. You can pretty much hand it over to someone who's never flown anything before and tell them just to waggle their phone around, and they'll get it. They'll be able to fly around, they'll be able to face themselves and see themselves on the camera, and maybe that'll give them a little bit of a kick. Now this quad actually comes in two flavours. There's a 0.3 megapixel camera and a 2 megapixel camera. And I'd asked for the 2 megapixel, but I actually thought all this time it had the 0.3, because every time I took any footage I'd look at it and it would be 640 by 480 video at 20 frames per second which doesn't look particularly good, and the photos essentially just look like a screenshot, which is also 640 by 480. So I thought all the way up to the editing of this video, where I was messing around with the settings and I managed to somehow get a photo in 720p. I was like, well, how did I do that? And it turns out to be this rather weird way of it selecting the menu. All the time I was flying, I had this little bit down the bottom which said 720, and that made me think, oh, I'm in 720, and obviously shock horror, when the footage comes back it's not. What you actually have to fly in, and here's me flying today just in the garden, and it's all a bit shaky because it's very windy. The thing I've selected actually says VGA down there. Now I think the way its logic is, because this is green, it means VGA is unselected. It's basically saying if you want to select VGA, press this, and that's when it comes up and lists 720. But it's basically saying 720 is not selected. I think it's kind of backwards. But anyway, here's the 720p footage, which looks, you know, a lot nicer than the previous stuff at least. Again, still not amazing, but better than it was. So there's really not that much to say about it. You know, it's fairly inexpensive. It's a bit of fun. It actually flies pretty well, and the altitude hold is great. It did falter somewhat indoors, where a couple of times it just decided it was going to fly up to the ceiling and try and go through the roof. I don't know if it's like a light frequency or something, but yeah, that was weird. Outside though, it's much stronger, and holds it pretty nicely. So all you have to do is go up, go down, and it'll sit there, and then you just waggle the phone around. So all in all, not a bad little toy, and the fact it can fold up and go in your pocket's quite nice. As I said before, this came from RCMoment, so if you want to check it out, the links are below, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.